Terry Sylvester joined the Hollies in 1968, replacing Graham Nash. The Hollies had 21 singles on the Billboard Hot 100. Terry became a Hollie after working with the Escorts and the Swinging Blue Jeans. After Terry joined the group, the Hollies enjoyed some of their greatest hits. This includes the #1 song, He Ain't Heavy, He's My Brother, the #2 1972 hit, Long Cool Woman in a Black Dress, and the touching song, The Air That I Breathe. Let's go to the banks of the beautiful Mackenzie River in Oregon, where Terry reminisces with Pete Bennett about growing up in Liverpool with the Beatles and his years with the Hollies.
And we did have a lot of fun up here for the weekend, up in Eugene, Oregon, and at the McDonald Theater. And there was a lot of great people, and we were close with Paul Petock and his brother Frank and Tommy and Tracy and all of them. And I feel that it was a great challenge, a weekend of working with you this weekend. And among all the stars I've been with, and I've been with many, many, many artists that I work with, you're one of the best guys that I've really met. A lot of fun, a lot of laughs, but you do have great talent, and you're a great human being, and God bless you, and I know years to come, your name will be always remembered in the Bible books of the entertainment world.
Oh, thanks, Pete. Actually, it was quite. I really enjoyed being up here, and we're here at the Mackenzie River and having a great time. And this is a day off, which is always nice and relaxing. But it's quite a nice. What a nice story I thought was the fact that when I joined the Hollies, I replaced Graham Nash, and who went on to join Stills and Crosby and Young. And I'm glad he did, because it gave me the opening to join the Hollies. And I think the happiest day of my life was at the Westbury Hotel in London when I was presented to the press as the new Hollie, because I felt like I'd made it. I used to sing at the Cavern Club with the Escorts and all the Beatles, and I was actually on the same bill as the Beatles the last time they ever played. On the 5th of August 1963, they played at the Cavern for the last time, and Brian Epstein personally asked for us to be on the same show, and it was great. We knew the Beatles, and Paul and his brother Mike were brought up, raised about 200 yards from where I lived, and my mum and dad still live in the same area, Allerton. And I know you mentioned last night, you said, oh gosh, you sound so much like Paul McCartney. Well, the reason is we were brought up in the same area. It's like if you brought up in the Bronx, which I think you were, you sound like you brought up from the Bronx. But the nicest thing over the last few days for me was when we were just chatting socially about when I first joined the Hollies, and I said, well, it wasn't just a dream come true, for the UK, but we actually went to America, and I'd never been to America before. And in 1970, I flew into New York City for the first time, and it just blew my mind. And the reason we were there was because we had a hit record, and that was He Ain't Heavy's My Brother. And of course, when I was talking to you last night about it, you said, a friend of mine wrote that. And that just blew me away. And it was Bobby Scott.
Bobby Kirkman, right. Well, that was great, because talking about Bobby was a great talent. And in fact, I gave him his first job with me with a band.
You gave everybody his first job.
I know, I'm starting everybody. Now, over here, Mackenzie River. I don't know if I started Mackenzie River the first time.
You possibly did.
But, of course, it was Bobby Scott, Bobby Kirkland, and I'm the one who recommended Bobby to Gene Krupa trio, and that's how Bobby started his big break. Besides Bobby Scott and Bobby Kirkland, and of course the big #1 record that you recorded, that Bobby has wrote, I also noticed that you have met the Beatles. And of course, at the Cavern Club, and you opened for the Beatles at the Cavern Club. When I asked you a question, the Beatles were very close friends of mine, besides business-wise, and it was many years I had promoting them as Beatles and also as individuals, John Lennon, Paul McCartney, George Harrison, and Ringo Starr. I want to get your personal opinion, because they're like 4 great guys. Who do you admire of the Beatles? Who would you say that impresses you of the Beatles, if anyone of the Beatles does impress you?
Oh, they impress me. I would certainly say I wouldn't be sitting here now at the Mackenzie River if it wasn't for the Beatles, because they led the way. They forged the way. what they did, when they appeared on Ned Sullivan, and every woman in America fell in love with Paul McCartney. That day kind of sealed my life too, because I love coming to the USA, and as you know, I live in Toronto, Canada now, and I love North America. I love North America life. Of course, I love England. I lived there for 50 years, and I go home a lot, of course. But I do love the North American way of life. I love appearing in the States. In the summer, these fairs that they have on the Saturday and Sundays. I do a lot of work with Peter Noon and Billy J. Kramer, and I will be coming back to your question in a minute, Pete. Believe me. And I just love life. I think you're on this earth once. Why not enjoy it? I've got no time for people who don't want to enjoy themselves, because hey, you're a long time dead, as they say. Your question. I love all the Beatles. Ringo. I'll tell you about my situation with the Beatles. When I left school, I went to work in a garage as a panel beater, which is an English phrase for a body shop repairman. It's a panel beat. I didn't do much panel beating, I have to tell you. And I must tell you, the first day I went to work for Peter Harrison, who was George Harrison's older brother. And he's because, apprentice, you get all the tricks played on you. So he sends me to the stores. And he says, could you go to the stores and get me a long wait? He said, just go there and say, I'm here for a long wait. So, of course, I go to the stores. And I said, have you got a long wait? He says, yeah, just right over there. So I'm there, standing there. And people kept coming and going. And I said, I'm here for the long wait. He says, you're okay to stay there. And then somebody took pity on me, a long wait. Thank you very much, Peter Harrison. But anyway, so that's Peter and that's George. George used to come into the garage all the time, bringing his car in to get serviced. And in fact, he used to give me his old guitar strings and things, because he knew I played the guitar. Then obviously you got Paul, who, Paul McCartney is, I wouldn't say he's my idol, because he's not. I don't have any idols. But I admire him so much for what he's done. Musically and for everything, and we live 200 yards away from each other, and sometimes I'd be at the bus stop, because I used to have to walk past his house to get the bus into town, and sometimes if he was going down into town, I was going, he'd scoop me up and give me a ride, which was wonderful. And I used to have a car. He had a green car, and I used to walk past his house, and the green car, and there was a little, on the dashboard, was a little black Beetle, like someone had obviously either given it or something. But anyway, yeah, Ringo. Well, he's a fun guy. He was the real actor in the Beatles, wasn't he? But his cousin was a guy called John Foster, and he was our drummer in the Escorts when we first started. And Ringo got us our first residency, if you like, at a club called the Blue Angel in Liverpool. And the owner of the Blue Angel was a guy called Alan Williams, who was the first manager of the Beatles. But so obviously got to thank Ringo. Thanks, Ringo, for getting us our first job, if you like. John Lennon was like way ahead of his time in humour. Such a funny guy, as you know, Pete, and the tricks he used to get up to. And he used to do that in Liverpool. And your original question was, who do you like out of the Beatles? Who do you admire? I admire all of them. I like all of them. They led the way, and in many ways they still do lead the way.